all of these things have answers. You have to ask yourself the question to get the answers because the answers are in you. And the biggest one in the financial services industry that affects the value is the knowledge of the relationship of the client.
Are you going to leave your team, or are you going to leave your clients a map to follow, or are you going to leave them a mess to clean up?
Do you want your business that you've worked your whole life towards falling apart or continuing on making a successful difference when you're no longer there?
Welcome to the Total Succession Show. I'm your host, Tyson Ray, joined by Kim Cochenour. We're glad you're here. Today's conversation just might be the nudge you need to start preparing for what's next.
Today, we're talking about something every advisor needs to hear: how to build a business that's ready to transition, even if you're not planning to sell right now. This is truly where the P in the SPACE framework comes into place. Prepare. Succession is something you have to prepare for, and it's the preparation that makes your business stronger, whether you sell it or not.
Yeah, we don't get to decide sometimes when that's going to happen because tragedy strikes. And if you didn't wake up tomorrow and you're the one that's in charge of the business, do they know what's to do? And who are they, by the way? Because a lot of people are counting on you and want to know that you have that plan, that you've prepared. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. As our friend Scott Danner said, you should always be ready to sell your business. And that mind shift is everything. So today we're breaking down what it actually means to have a sellable business, identifying some of the gaps that might get in the way, and some practical steps that you can take now to start preparing, even if your exit is years off. So let's get into it. Tyson, even the concept of a sellable business might not be what a lot of advisors are thinking. So what does it mean to have a sellable business?
It means at the very least you have contemplated the fact that life can be fleeting, and if there's a saying, you're going to exit your business, either you're going to decide it or you're going to die, and it's going to be decided for you. And in that scenario, did you prepare? Did you have a plan? Is there a set of instructions for people to know what is supposed to happen? And one of the misconceptions that people have is there's so much that individual business owners have learned and therefore have in their head that isn't actionable if they're no longer present. And it's not about revenue necessarily. It's not about a financial transaction. It's about we are responsible for the life savings of hundreds, if not thousands of people that are trusting us to be there for them. And if we're not there, did we leave a set of instructions? Did we leave a plan for them to act on? Them being the team, them being your custodian, them being even the clients, much less your own family members and your own affairs.
Yeah. Needs to be able to run without you. If you're the rainmaker, you're the head of operations, you're the client relationship glue, you handle marketing, that is not a sellable business. That's jobs that should actually be handled with a team. So, Tyson, what are some of the common gaps you've seen that hurts the practice value?
Yeah, that hurts the practice value or hurts the people that are affected if you're no longer there or you sell it, you're no longer there. When I got my certification in business exit planning, when they talked about some of this preparing and just things that people take for granted, it's just like, okay, who knows the code to the safe? What's in the safe so they know what they're going to get? The passwords to log into certain things, to access certain things. It's literally part of being able to set your business up for success in a transaction or set your business up to be able to be sold. It's like planning you're not there, whether it's death or you just stuck around and actually had a sale. And so if you didn't show up, what has to be known, what has to be documented, what has to be in place? Because if there isn't the documentation, there isn't a team in place that knows how to step in. And if you're listening to this and it's you and an associate or two, okay, can they even do it? because those things not only hurt, what legal documents are in place. Are they right? In my past, I went and explored being acquired, and when I was prior to going into that, I thought, yeah, I got everything in place, everything's great. But all of a sudden, I got into, wait, if I actually sold this, I realized the legal documents were going to create different tax consequences for different people on my team that just didn't make any sense, and we didn't really have things right. We checked the box, but we didn't
Mhm.
keep them updated. So legal documents, is your technology right? Are your financials up to date? If they're not, all that stuff affects value. And the biggest one in the financial services industry that affects the value is the knowledge of the relationship of the client in some type of software, some type of documentation, somewhere that someone else could pick up and know who this person is, what matters to them, who are their family members, who are they related to, what accounts do they have, and how is the money coming out of the accounts and why. The relationship management tools that are out there have the ability to take in so much more than a name, address, and a phone number. But if it's all still in your head because you never needed to put that information in a different, software or different tool that someone else could use, you're dramatically affecting the value of your practice if you ever wanna sell it or transition out of it, and even more so, or I think worse, because if you're transitioning out, at least you're still there maybe to try and download it. If you passed away and that system isn't there for another associate to come in, there's a huge gap between the client that is dealing with the tragedy that you're no longer there and the associate that's stepping in and doesn't know who this person is and doesn't know anything about the situation as to why they're a client and what they're trying to accomplish.
Well, and it comes down to, are you gonna leave your team, or are you gonna leave your clients a map to follow, or are you gonna leave them a mess to clean up? And so those gaps don't just make the business harder from a succession standpoint, it makes it harder for your business to even scale now. So fixing that will give you some flexibility and freedom in your business, whether you sell it or not. So shift your mind a little bit. And if you're thinking, wow, those gaps sound really familiar, you are not alone. There are so many other advisors who are in that same seat because they put their head down, they've been grinding through their business, they've been trying to grow it and doing everything. And so you're not alone and there's nothing wrong. Let's get through this next section. So, what you can start doing today to actually prepare for that exit in the future, or the team member that needs to come in and help you. So, again, this is where that prepare piece in space really gets where the rubber meets the road. You don't have to have an exit date. It doesn't have to happen to make you start having those strategic moves. So, Tyson, talk about some of the moves the advisor should be taking in this preparation, even if they're not going to exit.
Well, one of them may be because you said earlier about, you and your team, you may be listening to this and you don't have a team, or
True.
your team is 1 or 2 people. And one of the things that you may need to realize that I think I sure have taken for granted over the years is that, as you had said earlier, you wear all these multiple hats as an advisor, is that if you're no longer there, there's a very good chance that you may need to be replaced with more than 1, 2, or 3 people to
Mhm.
take things over. And part of preparing is to start being honest with yourself about what are the things that don't bring you joy, don't fill you up, take up your time. And I had to spend a lot of money on coaching with to learn this concept. Basically, what they said is what you don't like doing, what literally sucks the energy and joy out of your life. God created someone who loves that. And part of preparing is starting to realize what are those things if you don't have a team that you don't like doing, and piecing enough of them together to find that you may actually enjoy spending money to pay someone that loves doing those things. And part of preparing, transitioning your practice is to work yourself into what Dan Sullivan out of Strategic Coach calls a self-managing company, that you can delegate down repetitive work, delegate down parts of the business, that you can hire people that specialize in those areas or get greater joy than you do in those areas, while you continue to elevate and continue to evolve and continue to work on who you are in success as a business and as a person. But preparing um, is just being honest with yourself, it's like if you have endless amounts of time and so you're not restricted on when this stuff needs to happen, you need to just start creating this almost list of things that you need to prepare for it. And some of it's going to be documents, some of it's going to be people to hire, some of it's going to be the knowledge of the clients, some of it's going to be what communication needs to happen to the clients. Some of it needs to be, finances and taxes and how that's going to play out. Some of it's going to need to be kind of at what point in dates and times are you going to try and make some of these transitions happen, or they may never happen without a deadline. Some of it's reviewing how is the client's service being taken care of. Do you need to change that client service as clients grow? At what point do you bring on the junior advisor? At what point is that second gen G2, they call it in the industry, start taking over relationships, or at what point can they start buying into the practice? Are they going to buy in the practice? Have you thought about or prepared about, do I get acquired or do I have a internal succession? Do I bring family members on? All of these things have answers. You have to ask yourself the question to get the answers because the answers are in you.
Mm.
We're here to try and help you flush them out. But as you get those answers, it allows you to start preparing for what this future reality is going to be. You are going to exit your practice. You are going to have a succession. It's just a matter of whether you determined it or it's going to be determined for you.
Yeah. Well, and Tyson, I know part of what we've worked on here is just some examples is do you have your policies written out where someone could actually follow it from beginning to end to execute the way that you want them to so the client has a consistent experience? Have you reviewed all of your legal structure, putting in actually the succession plan for that G2 team, going through the finances, reviewing our operations, evaluating all of our tech, making sure our client notes are consistent? And so those things have made a huge difference and the ability for the team to grow. So it wasn't with the mindset to help you exit, it was to help the firm lead better, scale faster, and kind of have some of that rest around the business that you built. So that the preparation, there's some payoff in that. So let's talk about how prepared firms perform when it really counts. So prepared firms ready for that exit or that sale can attract stronger successors, whether that's that G2 from that internal standpoint or out in industry, retain your clients and actually get through the due diligence with a little less stress. So break this down for the listeners, Tyson. Why? Why does preparing well matter?
Well, I think part of it matters is because ultimately inside of all of us, we have this fear of the unknown or fear of dying or fear of failing or fear of leaving people disappointed or fear of regret. And by preparing and going and creating the space and going through this process, when it's done, there's a peace that comes with it. There's a satisfaction of knowing, though it may not be perfect, there's been an attempt
Uh,
and your clients want to know. I get asked, the older I get, the more I get asked, what happens if something happens to you?
Fair.
And we have a prepared team has an answer to that.
Mhm.
A prepared team has a plan. Prepared teams that have not only prepared this, acted on it, and committed to it, and are marching out to this exit that they're going to have and living out this succession, get higher valuations. There's less friction within the team or less misunderstandings if associates know what that plan is and what they're working. Will they have a job if you're no longer there? What is their
True.
job going to be? What is their component, or can they, do they get to work into this ownership or partnership, or do they get to work underneath a firm that they just know their job is secure? To be able to not just retain the key employees, but retain key clients, to know that you've thought through. I'm into like fourth and fifth generations of clients. They care that you're going to be there for their kids and their generation. And the reality is, statistically, or just by longevity, you might not be, but they want to know who is. And do you have a
Yeah.
plan for that? Or are you going to be the one, like many, that lose the next generation because that was never the expectation, or it was never communicated that you were going to be there for their kids? So why would they think to introduce you to the kids? Because you're going to retire in their retirement. So you're not even going to be there. Have you thought through those things? Because if you have solved some of these things and communicated them to the people that matter, your clients, your team, your family, your company is worth more. There's better camaraderie. There's better confidence within the clients themselves. That creates better referrals. It creates a better legacy. It leaves a better business for others to continue. I mean, at the end of the day, do you want your business that you've worked your whole life towards falling apart or continuing on making a successful difference when you're no longer there?
Yeah.
And preparing highly increases the odds that it can outlive you while you can go live if you're still here, because you took the time to figure this out.
Yeah.
And most aren't, because they're caught up in today, and the urgent is crowding out the important. And the longer you wait, the harder this is, or the more urgent the priority it is.
Mm.
Yes, this is overwhelming, so therefore it gets put to the back burner and you never get to it if you try and do all of this work. I was once told the way you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, like any other meal. And some of these is just, as you hear some of this and you have answers, write them down. And if you don't have answers, write the question down and just live in the space of the question and chew on it and let it be lived out. And try and accomplish bits and pieces of this, because it can be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be if you break it up into just pieces.
Yeah, very true. And so the question we want to have you sit with is, if I had to hand off my business in 90 days, what would break? In that question, thinking through, you're going to have some things that surface that needs your attention right now before the pressure is really on. And if you want, you can kind of take it up a notch and set aside a couple hours a week to do a buyer's eye view and walk through on your business. Look at your business and see what you're thinking if you were going to be buying it. Would you be impressed? Would you be overwhelmed? There's a mindset I want you to carry in the prepare phase of the space framework of looking forward, being clear-eyed and intentional. So, Tyson, that's a wrap for today, but I'd love for you to share any of your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think in the seeing and preparing part of it is to ask yourself, are you going to do this or not? And be honest. And if you're not, and sometimes I always said, if I was going to do it, I already would have done it.
Mm.
And if you haven't done it yet, and if you're honest with yourself, the urgent's going to crowd out the important, and it's not likely you're going to do it. My suggestion is, there are coaching services out there. Go hire help to hold you accountable to accomplish some of this and walk you through this exercise, however they're going to word it, but it's going to be trying to see what's out there, prepare for what you need to be doing, acting on what it is, committing to what it is, and then exiting from, whether it's selling your business or exiting from the things that you don't like. But I have found, and it is true of every professional athlete and most successful business owners that I know, is that they get coaching and they get help to help get some of this critical stuff done, because sometimes you need to have someone sit with you and ask the questions and copy the answers, or help you hear what you say, point out your blind spots. And increasing your value of who you are as a person, increasing the value of the firm, may mean hiring a coach that specializes in succession and helping you actually execute this.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, I couldn't agree more. You've actually done this really well. You have gone through a lot of coaching, you've asked for a lot of support, and you've walked this path to talk through what preparation in this business is to help it be less overwhelming in a way that's actually actionable. And I think that's really helped the team that we have in place be okay with, if that unknown happens, we can help steward what you've helped build well. And so just thank you for leading by that way. And I like your encouragement to the other advisors out there to actually get the help, because you made that investment as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a worthy endeavor.
Mm. Yeah, it's very true. So whether your exit's 5 years away or not even on your radar, start building the kind of business that could be sold. That's what preparation and prepare is really all about. So before you go, next week's episode, I want you to catch, we're sitting down with Andrea Shalapia, We're talking about EOS. If you've never heard of it, it's the Entrepreneurial Operating System and how it can totally transform how you run your firm. It's not just for growth, but it is also for succession. So Andrea's worked with tons of advisory teams, and she has a way of making sure the structure feels doable. So if you've ever thought, I need systems, but I don't know where to start, that's going to be a great episode for you to listen to next. So thanks for listening. We'll be back with more conversations like this.
I've wrestled with these things myself, and that's exactly why I created something to help you do it with less stress and more direction. My book, Total Succession, simplifies the process by breaking it down into 5 clear steps to help you exit on your terms, with confidence, full compensation, and your client's best interests at heart. You can also head to TotalSuccession.com for 1, a free guide that you can use as a starter to work through the See, Prepare, Act, Commit, Exit framework, and 2, for another freebie, my Advisor to Advisor Retirement Readiness Assessment. Remember, you only exit your business once. Create the space to make it happen. Thank you for listening. Until next time.